since everyone and their mother, father, sister, brother, uncle, grandmas, aunts, uncles has read Fourth Wing and loved it, I figured it's my turn. Let's see how we feel. As a fantasy girly at heart, I know a lot of people who have not previously been fantasy lovers have read this and loved it. Like, if people who don't typically love fantasy are loving it, how could I not? Monday night, we're starting this. I'm pretty tired, so I don't know how far I'm gonna get into it, but I'm gonna keep you guys updated on my thoughts as I go, and we'll check back in and I'll tell you if it's worth it. So right off the bat, we are only on chapter 2. I love it immediately. There is such a good setup for enemies to lovers, and please, there's 2 maps. Like, 1 map and I'd be sold, but 2? It just feels like, this might be a weird comparison, but it feels like a Disney ride. Like, it just feels so well thought out, and I love it already. I know, oh my god, my hair really look like I haven't slept in 5 weeks. I'm currently reading. I've been reading kind of all day, on and off. This author knows what she is doing. Each chapter, like, after we hit like the 100-page mark, oh my god, these chapters are like I'm addicted to it and I can't stop. If you have read this though, I'm on page 185. What she like finds out from Dane, oh my god. It's just so good. Like, it's just so good. And I haven't felt this like immersed in a fictional world in so long. My room is so incredibly messy after a weekend of going out and doing stuff. So I'm gonna take a couple minutes, clean up, and then we are back to you. I'm sitting in the Dunkin' parking lot. My face looks so swollen right now and I don't know why. I finished Fourth Wing last night and I am flying home so that I can do my therapy appointment and then record a full review for you guys. I'm just gonna tell you off the bat right now, it was a 5-star. Let's talk about my new favorite book. I need to like pause for a second and like write down my thoughts because I always go into this so excited when I do like a book review that I just end up blabbering and it's not even helpful to you guys. Okay, I'm gonna insert right here, somewhere around here, my Instagram post that I made for this because I wrote a very good description on there and I want you guys to read that because I think that gives a good idea of what the book's about. So this is as far as my notes got. Fourth Wing, plot, great. This book, as you can read right here, follows our main character Violet as she is entering the Basgiath War College and she is training to be a rider. That's the basic premise of it. I felt personally like the plot was so well written. Some of like the twists were a little bit predictable, but the ending I didn't guess. I did not guess the ending, and the writing style kept me like on my toes. Like, I was constantly flipping the page, like I could not stop reading. And I know that poor writing, like poor writing can do that to you as well, but truly I felt like the writing style that Rebecca Yarros used was so good. Like, she perfectly blended the character development, the inner thoughts, the dialogue, the action, and like romance. Like, all of it was blended so well into these chapters that like you just had to keep reading. It wasn't like you were reading 20 pages of Violet's inner thoughts, because when I get to a book like that, I can't do it. Or like 20 pages of world building, just straight world building. I can't do that either. Like, it was so perfectly mixed throughout the whole thing, so that you're learning as you go and you're like developing a love for the main characters as you go. It was just phenomenal in my opinion. Speaking of the romance, I felt like the tension between Violet and our love interest, so to speak, was chef's kiss. 10 out of 10. I loved it. Like, I'm very picky with my romance, and I thought it was so good. I highly enjoyed that aspect of it. The action scenes were very good. They weren't like super hard to understand, because sometimes with fantasy action scenes it's hard to keep up. These were great. They were like complex, but they weren't like, you didn't have to go back 10 pages and be like, what the hell's that? Like, it made sense. It was good. And it set it up perfectly for a second book. Speaking of, I will be reaching out to the author and the publisher every single day until November 3rd. I think that's the release date, to get a copy of the second book, so I can tell you guys all about it, because I don't think I can go another 6 months not with this series. Like, I can't. So my final thoughts are, if you are looking for a fantasy with some romance, with some world building, a main character who is super relatable but tough, like she's a badass, this is the one. I gave this 5 stars. This quite possibly might be my favorite book of the year. This is literally all I ended up writing down. Plot, great. Awesome.